and damp. For all those behind the scenes, we bid you a very good evening and back on a Monday, Lord willing, right here at the news desk at TV 12. For all those behind the scenes, and Dudley Evans, so long.
We're going to get each candidate up here in groups. I'll tell you that. We'll have a 1 minute open. You can do it from here. You can do it from over there if you'd like to. Then a certain set amount of time that we're going to get to ask you guys questions. I have a question that I have for every candidate. If you have listened to me on the radio station, you understand the issues that I've been talking about and that have been brought to me by the citizens of Anderson County. In so much, you guys as officials, when you run, if folks don't like your performance, they're going to vote you out of office, correct? Okay, we have other officials, and I'm referring to our law director right now, that you guys, when you win this election, you'll be placed on a legal advisory board. And that legal advisory board oversees that position. Now, there have been a lot of, we'll call them mistakes or accidents or problems that have happened. Will you, as the next elected official in your position, investigate these mistakes as the legal advisory board? Yes or no? Lisa? Lewis?
Yes, and I've shown a history of doing so.
Thank you. Who's next? Scott?
Yes.
All right. Michael?
Yes.
I'm just going around the room because I can't see where everybody is. So,
You got Gary Long back
Gary
here.
Long,
Gary?
I'd be glad to look into it.
Steve Emmerich right here.
Yes, sir.
Thank you.
Jeff Cole.
Yes, sir.
Thank you. Tim?
Shelton.
Yes.
All right. Hollywood?
Yes.
All right. William?
Yes.
Did we? I'm sorry, Scott. I apologize, sir. Regina?
Yes.
Rex? Russell?
Yes.
Did I miss anybody? I'm sorry, Mayor. I apologize.
Absolutely yes.
All right. Just for the record, everybody in radio and everybody that asked me to do that, 100% of these candidates said yes. Please hold them to it. All right, Gary, the floor is yours.
Good afternoon. Gary Long, I'm your candidate for Road Superintendent of Anderson County. May 1st primary. Appreciate your vote. Appreciate y'all coming out tonight. Appreciate putting this together for the voters. They can hear me, I believe, bud. Thank you. And we appreciate everybody getting involved. Politics is knowing your friends and knowing your neighbors and asking them to vote and vote people in that'll do their job. The road department's got about 510 miles of road. We've got an outstanding crew that does the work. Got an office staff that always answers the phone. We don't have an automated answering system. You call down there, you'll get a hold of someone. We appreciate the opportunity to serve you. And if there's a problem, I want to know about it. This is pothole season. We understand that. It goes with the territory. We appreciate problems, and we want you to tell us. Appreciate you vote. Vote early, vote often, and we appreciate it.
Kind of lonely up there on the stage, huh?
Never lonely. I've always got friends.
There you go. Well, I guess my one question for you here is, how do you manage to get as much done as you do, given your department's budget constraints? And ideally, what kind of a budget would you like to have?
Yeah.
Unlimited funds, not an option.
Well, and actually, and we appreciate the question, and the crew that we have, the employees that we have, they're dedicated. We're out there in the weather, snow, ice, rain, trees down. Most of them wouldn't have an office job. Controlled climate's not something that they're familiar with. They do the job, we oversee it, we give them ideas, we take them, we schedule the work, we check on them, make sure it's done properly. The money has been a restraint over the years. When we took office a few years back, we had 35 employees that we put out on the road. We've got 22 today. We do more with less employees. It's a management deal. I mean, when you send them out to do a job, they're going to do the job. You just need to know how long it should take them, check on them, and have them for another job. But they do the job. I'm just lucky enough to be in the back office where the slack gets sometimes, or the phone calls, and that's fine. We appreciate the calls. If there's a complaint, that's what we're there for. And no, I don't get tired of hearing it. I enjoy it. It's a challenge. We enjoy every day of it. Some say, well, how long are you going to run? Well, I don't know. I've got, my health's pretty good. My knowledge is I'm a little bit of a knucklehead, but I appreciate the opportunity to get to serve, and we'll be glad to take any questions or any problems.
I just want to say thank you for what you do at the radio station, because if there's a problem when folks call in with a problem or something on the road, Gary's always very good about giving us information, makes us look like we know a whole lot, but I appreciate that, and you do a great job with information with us. You really do.
Well, we appreciate it. We appreciate what you all do for the community and the voters and citizens of Anderson County.
And really, that's all the questions that we have for you, so if you got your closing statement, you can go.
My closing statement is vote early, vote often, and I'm going to sell some time to Jeff Cole, I think, wanted to buy a few extra minutes. But no, we thank you, okay?
All right. Thank you, Gary. So our candidates for trustee, if you guys will come forward.
Hello, I'm Scott Burton, and I'm running for Anderson County Trustee. I'd like to talk to you a little bit about my family and my work experience. This year, my wife Tracy and I will be married 24 years in June. We have 3 great kids, Alex and Lauren and Sarah, are all 3 in the Anderson County school system. I was born and raised in Anderson County, graduated from Clinton High School in 1984, sounds like a long time ago. And after I graduated and went to the University of Tennessee, I majored in management, and I graduated in 1989. My work history includes the last 16 years. I've been a district sales manager in the pharmaceutical industry for the last 16 years, managed 10 to 12 people throughout that time, and also currently I'm the mayor of Clinton also. What I want to bring, my goals for trustee, is to increase taxpayer expectations by superior customer service, flexible payment options, more online options, and to keep Anderson County money in Anderson County. Thank you.
Hi, I'm Regina Copeland, and I'm running for Anderson County Trustee, and I just want to say that I appreciate you all coming out tonight to listen to what we all have to say. I'm a wife of 31 years. I'm married to Keith Copeland. I've been a member of Pine Ridge Baptist Church for 34 years. We have 2 children. We have a daughter and a son-in-law that live in Cookeville, and they pastor a church down there. And then we have a son and daughter-in-law, and she teaches kindergarten in Anderson County School System, and he also pastors a church, Rutledge Pike. We have 3 wonderful grandbabies, and we are also small business owners in Anderson County. I have served you for the last 18 years as your 911 director, and the experience that I have gained in doing that will prepare me to as your job for trustee. A good leader motivates, encourages, and jumps in the trenches to help dig. I have proven my willingness to jump in and to work with others. My experience with 911 for 18 years didn't come easy. At times it's been stressful and it's been hard, but I'm not one to tuck tail and run. And I've done 2 minutes on opening and 1 minute. I'm sorry I got that reversed. I didn't get that. So I'll make up my minute. As your 911 director, I have collected and managed millions in 911 revenue. I have set and maintained budgets. I prepare for annual audits. I reconcile accounts. I invest 911 funds. I have experience in project management, GIS map, and I manage all county 911 equipment along with Norris, Oliver Springs, and Rocky Top. Under my leadership, we have no deficits, no loan balances, and we have a surplus of well over $1 million invested for our future 911 upgrades. I'm Regina Copeland, and I'm your experienced choice for trustee. Thank you.
Good evening, I'm Scott Gillenwaters, and I'm running for Anderson County Trustee because I want to give back to the community that's given so much to me. I've lived in Oak Ridge and Anderson County for 25 years, but I grew up not too far from here out in the Carnes community, and we often came to Oak Ridge and Clinton if we wanted to eat or shop or see a movie. I've been married to my best friend Kathy for 29 years, and we have 2 sons, Chris and Andrew, 19 and 23. Anderson County has been a great place to live and work and raise our family. I have a bachelor's degree from Emory and Henry College in Virginia and a master's degree from Huntington University in Indiana. I've worked in student ministries full-time for the last 29 years and have served in county government for the last 16, serving both on county commission and the Anderson County School Board. I would be honored to be able to serve as your trustee here in Anderson County. Thank you.
I'll start off with a question, I guess, for all three of the candidates. What do you find to be the biggest issue or issues facing the office of trustee that you're currently running for? And how would you propose to address those issues? I don't know what the order is here, but that's for all three of you.
One of the things that I have been asked a lot when I'm out and about is the ability to be able to pay monthly on their bills. And I know that there was some issues with the software, and they had to do away with that. That is one of the biggest concerns of the citizens and the people that's on, an income where they get paid once a month. It's hard for them to come up with that at the end of the year. And I have already started working on a solution to that. Even if the solution is not in the software, I've met with some other people, and I'll have a solution to that.
I think the trustee's office has been run so well over the last years, and I know Mr. Archer did a tremendous job in running that office, and Myron Owanski has come in as an interim and has run the office very well. So there aren't a lot of changes that I think need to be made. I don't plan to make any wholesale changes. I'm a big evaluator. I like to always look and see if we can do something a little bit better, if there's a service that we can improve. So anything that we're doing already in trustee's office needs to constantly be evaluated. And I promise to do that and make sure that we have all our satellite offices where the population is growing, and that we are providing services, that our website is working. I know it is up to date and doing well, and I want to continue to make sure that it serves the folks. So when you come in the office, you'll see a friendly face. Somebody will shake your hand and call you by name. We'll also be very high-tech as we can be.
I mentioned this in the opening. It's just really to increase our taxpayers' expectations, and you're thinking, Scott, what does that mean? It's just give that superior customer service. I mean, if it's legal, if it's ethical, if it's moral, let's work with our taxpayers to satisfy them and help them out when they need to. I made mention in our first debate that we need to have more flexible payment options. Of course, the monthly has been there and it's gone away. But I also think quarterly payments or biannual or of course end-of-year payments should be an option, just to make the taxpayer make it a little easier for them. It's really a tax burden. If a lot of people wait till the end of the year to pay their taxes, and they just don't have the funds for that. And I think we need to have more online options. I've talked to a lot of people that it could be a little more user-friendly as far as online, be able to pay online, and be able to look up things a little quicker. And we talked a little bit about keeping our money in Anderson County. We've kind of gotten away from that over 4 or 5 years ago, and now it's back. And I want to make sure that the money is collected stays in Anderson County.
How do you balance that? Because when you invest that money, you're looking to get the best return for us. If you invest it out of town and you make more money, then we have more money in our fund balance. But yet we put a lot of importance on bringing that money back into the county, even sometimes at a less of a return. How do you put a balance on that?
Well, I would imagine we've all looked at mortgages and car loans and usually every time I've done that, and even at the city level when we borrowed money, we bid it out. And there's never been a time where someone locally didn't match what was out there out of state. So I don't have any concern that we can't get just as good of a price locally than we would outside.
Do you other two agree with that? Yeah, I want you to.
Well, I actually invest 911 funds now. And I believe that it should be, if there's any way possible that we can bring it back to the county, it should be. But my thinking on what return, you may find a percentage or a 0.5% or something like that somewhere else at an outside bank. But we have to remember that these banks are also paying tax dollars. They're also investing in our community. They're also giving back. At every event that I've been in this whole year I've been campaigning, our local banks are giving back to our community. So to me, your money is getting a better bang for its buck because it's staying here. Now, I realize that if it's 1% or 2%, something crazy, but like Scott said, most of the time it's matched, at a local level.
I know we're already doing what we can to invest in local banks. We've got some great banks here in Anderson County, and I know that the trustee's office is already doing that. You have to know, too, that the law dictates how the trustee can invest the money. That's not totally up to whoever the trustee is. You don't get to do whatever you want. An awful lot of that is dictated by state law, and there are limits as to where you can invest the money and how much you can invest in certain places. So you have to know that going in.
When you get a return on the money, when that does come back, does the trustee get a hand in where that money is used or how that money is used in our local government?
I would imagine that money would go back into the general fund, would be my guess.
For Scott Burton, are you concerned about your workload if you were to win serving as both mayor of Clinton and as Anderson County trustee?
Well, I thought that question might come up. Before, and I left my job about 3 months ago. I just wasn't able to campaign and work because I left on Monday mornings, came back Thursday evenings, and I just wouldn't be able to give this a good run. So that was a very demanding job. But as I said before, being the mayor, I only probably work 3 or 4 hours a month on that. And you think about it, I'm on the board of directors. I'm the chairman of the board. So we set the strategy for the city. Then the city manager and the department heads, which do a great job, they execute that strategy. So it's not a day-to-day job. I get paid $150 a month. Somebody said, well, he wants to double dip. Well, I don't know about that. It's $150. But it has caused more questions than I would like. And I don't know where I'm going to be because I'm in campaign mode right now, and everybody's getting a little winded. So I don't, if you ask me right now, I don't think I would run for mayor, just based on, where I'm at right now and what I need to do as trustee. That was a very long answer. I guess I'm getting this politician thing down pat.
We're right at the end of our time with you all for closing statements.
First, let me thank the Republican Executive Committee, Ron and Jim, for being our moderators tonight. I've spent my career helping people, whether it was working with a young person on their faith journey or solving some problem with or issue with the county government. I feel like I'm in ministry every day, and I think being the county trustee would be a continuation of that ministry. I have a long history of being a good steward of the county funds. In fact, when I left the commission, the resolution that was passed honoring my years of service recognized my fiscal conservatism by naming the last day of the fiscal year in perpetuity as Scott Gillenwater's Day in Anderson County. So I'm proud to be known for taking care of your money. Unfortunately, the way you celebrate that day is not spending any money, so the parties are lame. There are 3 words you see on all my printed material: experience, knowledge, and commitment. I'm the only candidate with any elected county government experience. I believe there's no better training for a full-time government position than serving on the county commission. Commission deals with everything from roads to jails to the catch length of the fish in North Lake. Sitting through budget hearings, listening to each department talk about their hopes and dreams and goals for the coming year, you get a real sense of how government works in concert together with one another. It gives you a sense of the family that Anderson County government is, and I'm proud to have been a part of that family for the last several years. That experience, helping manage 8 county budgets and manage 8 school budgets as chair of the budget committee for our Anderson County schools, gives me a first-hand knowledge of county funds, the very funds the trustee handles. My commitment to government integrity and to be a moral and ethical voice of reason in Anderson County is unwavering. My commitment to you is to manage the trustee's office with the honesty and integrity the people of Anderson County have come to expect. For these reasons, I believe I'm the best candidate, and I ask you for your vote. Thank you.
All right. My question for you all tonight would be, what do you want in a trustee? Are you wanting a longtime politician? Are you wanting someone looking for a job? Are you wanting someone who has 18 years of true experience, who has worked hard and made a career of public service, and is committed to doing the job of the trustee and not having other political commitments pulling me away from the job that you elect me to do? I am the one candidate with experience to dig in and grow straight to work. I'm humbly asking for your vote in the May 1st primary. Thank you.
So, as trustee, I want to bring 3 assets to the trustee position. Number 1 is my education. And I'm not talking about my college education. I'm talking about my education in life. You know, I have a lot of experience as far as work. I've been in retail that I can pull from. I've been in sales I can pull from. And I've been a manager for the last 16 years. I have a lot of options when I have some type of issue that I need to resolve. I've got a lot of experiences in my bag. When you're in a position for 18 years, especially in a government position, your view's like this, because you don't have those options. It's always been a set protocol. So it's always the same old, same old. I'm bringing something different. And you Republicans out there, we've done a pretty good job bringing business people in the governor race, as a governor, and also as a president. And I just want to come in as a trustee, and I can do that. My number 2 is proven experience. Again, I have 16 years of management experience. I've managed over 80 people in those 16 years. The 2 sitting there have managed 1 person over 12 years. And management is critical in these positions, fellow guys. We know this from past lawsuits, present lawsuits, and what's going to happen in the future. So please don't underestimate the power of having that management experience with you in this job. Also, as the mayor of Clinton, I kind of consider that as a community service. But I'm really proud of the fact when I first came in 2010, we had a deficit of over $2 million in our fund balance. Today we have over $7 million. And we have a clear path being debt-free in 7.5 years. Now that just speaks to my conservative principles. But that's being in a government position, and that's getting the job done. And I've done that. I bring leadership as trustee, and will have a positive impact in the trustee office, but I want to have a positive impact also in the county. I'm asking for your vote to be your next trustee. If you have any more questions, please look at my website, scottburtonfortrustee.com. Thank you, and God bless.
Regina Copeland has been recognized as one of our outstanding public officials for nearly 2 decades. Regina manages our county's 911 services and implemented a $1.4 million upgrade and the installation of a Code Red emergency notification system. Responsible for more than $4 million in budget allocations, Regina Copeland is the one candidate with the experience to get the job done right. Elect Regina Copeland, Anderson County Trustee.
Steve Emmert is a family man, a community volunteer, and a general contractor who has spent 32 years operating a successful construction business, managing more than $15 million in residential and commercial building projects. Steve knows the value of hard work and will bring accountability back to county government. Steve Emmert will put his business experience to work for all Anderson County taxpayers. On May 1st, vote for Steve Emmert for Anderson County Mayor.
Honor, courage, and commitment. For Sheriff Candidate Russell Barker, these values were instilled in him as a United States Marine. Over 17 years in law enforcement, Russell has climbed the ranks and appointed the director of the Anderson County Drug Task Force. He's the one candidate on the front lines of the opioid epidemic, while managing a county-wide agency and budget. Guided by his faith and family, he understands the importance of protecting the people of Anderson County. On May 1st, vote Russell Barker for sheriff in the Republican primary.
Jeff Cole was born and raised in Anderson County. He has served his hometown for the past 15 years as its county clerk. Jeff was recognized in 2016 as Tennessee's County Clerk of the Year. From updating services on the internet to expanding office hours, Jeff Cole has made the county clerk's office better for all Anderson County families. On Tuesday, May 1st, let's keep Jeff Cole working hard for all of us in Anderson County.
Tim Shelton's office is recognized as a standard of excellence among Tennessee Register of Deeds. Tim was named Tennessee County's Official of the Year in 2017. Tim's experience in the Register of Deeds office has enabled Anderson County residents to have one of the most updated and accessible offices in Tennessee. Tim knows the value families place on their land and their heritage. Tim has provided the help families need, from recording deeds to researching family histories. On May 1st, re-elect Tim Shelton, Register of Deeds.
I'm Scott Burton, and I'm running for Anderson County Trustee. In business, I've managed dozens of employees. Like you, I focus on the bottom line. As a lifelong Republican, I'm fiscally conservative, and I've proven it as Clinton's mayor. We've cut the debt in half over the last 8 years. Now Clinton's on a path to be debt-free in less than 8 years. We deserve an experienced fiscal conservative in the trustee office. I'm Scott Burton, asking your vote in the Republican primary.
We all want to live, work, and play in a safe and crime-free environment. We want to leave our homes without fear. I've dedicated the last 22 years of my life as a peace officer protecting life, property, and the citizens of Anderson County. As a husband, citizen, and peace officer, I am dedicated to the security of our communities, schools, and protecting our God-given rights as Americans. I'm Lewis Rodner, and I ask for your vote in the May 2018 Republican primary for Anderson County Sheriff.
I'm Terry Frank. When I became mayor, I opened the door of the mayor's office to the people of Anderson County. I don't have political handlers. I believe in meeting with people one-on-one. I love getting things done for seniors, for children, for families in our faith community, for our veterans, and for the men and women who work hard every day. And yes, for animals too. I consider myself the people's mayor, your mayor, and I humbly ask for your vote in the May 1st Republican primary.
All right, next, Anderson County Clerk, Lisa Airwood and Jeff Cole. If y'all want to come on up, we'll get your opening statements.
Good evening. My name is Lisa Arrowwood, and I'm running for Anderson County Clerk. I'm a resident of Clinton and have been for the past 25 years. I'm a member of the Oak Ridge Rotary Club and the Oak Ridge and Anderson County Chambers of Commerce. I also belong to Second Baptist Church in Clinton, and I have one son, Chad, who's with me here tonight, and 3 grandkiddies. I'm a lifelong Republican. I've voted in every Republican election since I was 18 years old. I also support term limits. If I'm elected your clerk, I pledge to only serve 2 terms. I have over 25 years of business experience, 18 years as a small business owner. I know how to balance a budget, manage employees, make payroll, and do all this while maintaining a strict bottom line. I'm asking for your vote in the May 1st primary, and I thank you for your consideration.
I want to thank the Republican Party for hosting this event tonight, as well as you, the public, for coming. It's an honor to have y'all here tonight to listen to us.
Can't hear you. Closer to the mic.
Can you hear me now? I am Jeff Coe, your county clerk. I've earned a degree from Carson Newman College, and we attend, me and my family, Second Baptist Church. It's been an honor and a privilege to serve our citizens here in Anderson County for the past 16 years as your clerk. Being county clerk is who I am, and that's what I do. It's been my commitment to run the offices in a cost-efficient way, offer better service, and be available to our citizens here in Anderson County. In 2016, I was recognized as County Clerk of the Year for the state of Tennessee. In winning this award, it demonstrates that my experience and leadership has helped our office to be one of the best in the state. I want to thank the citizens here of Anderson County for their support through the years, and my staff for their hard work for working here in the clerk's office. Thank you, and I ask for your vote on May 1st.
Your office currently in budget, everything fine, and do you generate revenue after everything's all said and done in the office?
Yes, we do. Like I said, we're a fee office, so we pay as we go, and I regularly turn in, we meet our budget goals for the year, and we do turn over excess fees back to the general fund without having to go to county commission for additional monies. And that's part of the service issue of the services that we do offer. That helps bring in the fees and stuff like that as we go forward every year.
Lisa, what do you think that you can bring to the office that could make it operate more efficiently?
Well, I bring over 25 years of business experience. I worked in Oak Ridge at ORAU for 16 years as a project manager, and then I've been the last 18 years as a small business owner. I'm co-owner and broker at City and County Realty here in Clinton, there in Clinton, and then currently for Southern Homes Realty, and I know how to negotiate, I know how to mediate, and I know how to manage a budget. I know how to write contracts. I'm kind of a jack of all trades when it comes to my business experience.
A lot of people, including I'm sure many in this room and your opponent, have expressed concern of the fact that you did switch parties 4 years ago. How do you respond to those criticisms, and what led you to make that decision?
Well, changing yes, I did change 3 years ago, and I'm proud of the decision. I went through all the channels through the Republican Party. I met with state leaders. The local party here was wonderful. They, accepted me. I've been accepted by 3 chairmen. I voted Republican ever since. I've given money to our local Republican candidates as well as state. And it was just the right decision. The Democrat Party had dramatically changed my values. I've always been pro-life. Pro-Second Amendment, pro-Israel is a very important issue to me because I've studied that issue a lot and what it says in God's Word. And it was just the right thing to do. And I would do it again. And like I said, the local party here has been wonderful. I took my oath, and I'm a Republican.
Lisa, do you feel like that coming from a business background, getting into government, it seems like things move a whole lot slower and a whole lot different being in a government environment as opposed to when you're in a business environment. In a business environment, you decide to do it, put forth a plan, you go do it. Seems like in government things move slower, and that could be hard to adapt to. Have you thought about that? And if so, do you have any thoughts about adapting to that?
I don't think I'd have any problems adapting to that. One thing that I've done in real estate is that each contract that you work on is different. Some of them move swiftly through the mortgage process, the contract negotiations, the whole 9 yards, and others creep along. It can take anywhere from 30 days to 6 months to a year to close a real estate transaction. So I believe that my background in that, as well as being a project manager in Oak Ridge, I have that background, and so that was with a government contractor. So I do have some experience working with government.
You both obviously are talented and know what you're doing, but I just want to ask you, why do you want it? Why do you still want to do it? And when he's finished, why do you want to do it, Jeff?
Well, like I said, I've got 26 years of total experience working in the office, and public service has always been a goal of mine. And my brother and sisters here tonight, and they'll vouch for me. When I was younger, I used to take pictures of license plates when I was a kid. I don't know why, but I did. And I've been blessed to be able to be clerk, and it's helping the citizens. That's number one. And providing the services that this office requires, and that's why I do it again, and I'd like to be reelected.
And why do you want it, Lisa?
Well, I'd like to be elected just because I think I can give back. I've been in business for 18 years. The people here have been wonderful to me. They've supported me in every endeavor. I've been in retail and got great support there, and then also in my real estate career, and I just want to give something back.
Okay. All right, guys, if you want to make your closing statements.
Again, I want to thank y'all for coming out tonight. It really means a lot to us candidates. This microphone just don't work. But again, thank y'all for coming. It means a lot to the candidates. I know as we go door to door and stuff and have an opportunity to talk to our citizens, that's what we like. I think I've shown here tonight that I've just not marked off days on a calendar. I do have 16 years as your county clerk. My experience counts for the upgrades in the office and all the services that we're responsible for. And we've made these services customer friendly for our citizens. I've ran the office with conservative principles. I've expanded office hours. I have less full-time employees. Met our budget and turned over excess fees back to the general fund. My leadership's been a positive force for our citizens. This office belongs to the taxpayers, and it's like I said, I've been blessed to have that opportunity to lead our citizens in an effective and cost-efficient way as well. Going forward, I pledge to continue to use my experience in education to find better ways to provide services and be accountable to our citizens, for they pay the bills. My leadership's steady, my vision is clear, and my message is simple. Experience counts, and experience is the difference. I humbly ask for your vote and support on May 1st. Early voting starts next Wednesday. Thank you, and Godspeed.
In closing, let me just say what a privilege it's been to meet with and talk to many of you, as well as the other citizens of Anderson County. I've enjoyed the door-to-door campaigning much more than I thought I would, and hope to do lots more of it before May 1st. When I've been out campaigning door-to-door, I've listened to the people that I've talked with, and they come back with 3 things that they'd really like to see, and one is that they're looking for someone with more business experience instead of political experience. They're looking for improved customer service, and they're looking for a strong Republican who's been with the party for years. And so I would consider it an honor and a privilege to serve as your next Anderson County Clerk, and I ask for your vote on May the 1st. Thank you.
Regina Copeland has been recognized as one of our outstanding public officials for nearly 2 decades. Regina manages our county's 911 services and implemented a $1.4 million upgrade and the installation of a Code Red emergency notification system. Responsible for more than $4 million in budget allocations, Regina Copeland is the one candidate with the experience to get the job done right. Elect Regina Copeland, Anderson County Trustee.
Honor, courage, and commitment. For Sheriff candidate Russell Barker, these values were instilled in him as a United States Marine. Over 17 years in law enforcement, Russell has climbed the ranks and appointed the director of the Anderson County Drug Task Force. He's the one candidate on the front lines of the opioid epidemic, while managing a county-wide agency and budget. Guided by his faith and family, he understands the importance of protecting the people of Anderson County. On May 1st, vote Russell Barker for sheriff in the Republican primary.
Steve Emmert is a family man, a community volunteer, and a general contractor who has spent 32 years operating a successful construction business, managing more than $15 million in residential and commercial building projects. Steve knows the value of hard work and will bring accountability back to county government. Steve Emmert will put his business experience to work for all Anderson County taxpayers. On May 1st, vote for Steve Emmert for Anderson County Mayor.
Jeff Cole was born and raised in Anderson County. He has served his hometown for the past 15 years as its county clerk. Jeff was recognized in 2016 as Tennessee's County Clerk of the Year. From updating services on the internet to expanding office hours, Jeff Cole has made the county clerk's office better for all Anderson County families. On Tuesday, May 1st, let's keep Jeff Cole working hard for all of us in Anderson County.
Tim Shelton's office is recognized as a standard of excellence among Tennessee Register of Deeds. Tim was named Tennessee County's Official of the Year in 2017. Tim's experience in the Register of Deeds office has enabled Anderson County residents to have one of the most updated and accessible offices in Tennessee. Tim knows the value families place on their land and their heritage. Tim has provided the help families need, from recording deeds to researching family histories. On May 1st, re-elect Tim Shelton, Register of Deeds.
My wife Pam and I have lived and worked in Anderson County throughout our lives. In 1993, I began my career as a reserve deputy sheriff and dedicated my life to protecting and serving others. Previously serving as the Anderson County Sheriff's Department Chief Deputy, I am the only Republican candidate with the experience managing the department's budget, working with county legislative bodies, while managing the manpower and resources that make up the department. I'm Lewis Rodner, and I ask for your vote in the May 2018 Republican primary for Anderson County Sheriff.
I'm Terry Frank. When I became mayor, I opened the door of the mayor's office to the people of Anderson County. I don't have political handlers. I believe in meeting with people one-on-one. I love getting things done for seniors, for children, for families in our faith community, for our veterans, and for the men and women who work hard every day. And yes, for animals too. I consider myself the people's mayor. your mayor, and I humbly ask for your vote in the May 1st Republican primary.
I'm Scott Burton, and I'm running for Anderson County Trustee. In business, I've managed dozens of employees. Like you, I focus on the bottom line. As a lifelong Republican, I'm fiscally conservative, and I've proven it as Clinton's mayor. We've cut the debt in half over the last 8 years. Now Clinton's on a path to be debt-free in less than 8 years. We deserve an experienced fiscal conservative in the trustee office. I'm Scott Burton, asking your vote in the Republican primary.
All right, next up is our candidates for Register of Deeds. We're going to ask them to go ahead and give their opening statements.
Good evening. I'm Michael Foster. I'm running for Anderson County Register of Deeds. I was born and raised here in Anderson County. I love this community. I love giving back to my community. That's one of the reasons I'm running, is because I believe in serving your community. One of the things I've done is be able to give back my time into multiple organizations like United Way, ASAP of Anderson County, Clinton Rotary Club, the Boys and Girls Club. So that's one of the reasons I'm running. But also I want to thank my wife, Katie, and Tate, and my son, Tate, for being here. They had to leave a little early because Tate had to get in bed. He's my best campaigner, and I like to keep him rested. So if you talk to him tonight, he probably asked you to vote for his daddy, so I appreciate his work. But I'm running for Anderson County Register of Deeds. As a true and unwavering Republican, I believe in conservative values. I believe in fiscal responsibility. So one of the things I want to do is bring those same fiscal responsibilities that I've put in as a city manager of Rocky Top and bring those to the Register of Deeds office.
I'm Tim Shelton, the Register of Deeds here in Anderson County, and I've lived here all my life. I turned 50 this June. Of those 50 years, I've been married to my wife, Dara Giles Shelton, for 22 years. She's not here tonight because she's having to be an Uber driver taking my son to baseball after she just left my daughter playing golf, who almost got a hole-in-one. And Jeff, she's better at golf than both of us, so it's not too good. But I'm running for re-election for Register of Deeds because I love what I do. I love the fact that it's a ministry for me. I sat in this room not too long ago and shared with this group in this body why it was that I wanted to be a Republican. We had that conversation. I met with two different state directors at the time, met with our local director here, and as a result, became a bona fide Republican 3 years ago. Since that time, I have been committed to our party, supporting our candidates, doing work, and contributing to the cause. I'm Tim Shelton. I'm the Register of Deeds of Anderson County, and I'd ask for your vote.
This is for both of you. How do you feel that the office you are running for or currently hold is perceived, and what do you find are the common misconceptions that you're having to clear up either in the office or on the campaign trail?
One of the misconceptions about the Register of Deeds office is that there's this misconception about fees and about how our office is operated. Back in 2006, the state of Tennessee took a major portion of the fees out of the Register of Deeds office. We are currently one of more than 70 counties that do not meet fees as compared to budgets, and that sounds very troubling to folks. But the reality is this. The state of Tennessee has set up the Register of Deeds office to be funded through the county budget system. We are accountable for every penny that comes in. We receive over $1.5 million every year, most of which goes to the state of Tennessee. You would consider my office an unfunded mandate in most places, but nonetheless, we provide great service. We have great employees who do great things, and currently we have over $80,000 sitting in a designated account as a surplus for computer use and those sorts of things. So our office is well managed, and certainly I'm thankful that we have a great staff that makes it work.
As he brings up the misconceptions of the fees, I think a lot of people don't realize that it is a fee-based office. And just doing some research on the office, and over the last 6 years, if you just look at the audits, that office has operated in an $86,000 deficit compared to the fees they collect. So we can say it's not a fee office, but it is a fee office, and that's how it needs to operate. And that's one of what I pledge to do as the new Register of Deeds, is operate that office within the fees.
This election season has been, as currently still is, unusual to say the least, in so much as open online, on our radio stations, you got the head of our opposing party calling for Democrats to infiltrate our primaries. First time that I've seen that openly. But Michael, you've been criticized for going and speaking to Democrats. I want you to address that as to why you did that and how it's affected Run, how it's affected the way that other Republicans see it.
Yes, I was invited to come speak and asked to come to the Democrat Party, and I went because I believe you should ask for everybody's vote in Anderson County. If you know people are going to cross over and vote, then you should ask for their vote. If they're going to come over and vote in this primary, I'm going to ask everybody for the vote because I believe everybody in Anderson County should be asked for their vote, and that's what I believe. I don't have to defend my Republicanness. My whole life I've voted Republican. I've supported Republican candidates. I've supported this party. I've never been a Democrat. I've always been a Republican, and so that's why I continue to hold the conservative values that I do.
I'm going to ask you the same thing what Jim was going to, but I'm stealing his question here. But the same thing. Why did you switch when you switched 3 years ago? What flipped?
Well, as a conservative Christian, first off, even before making the claim of a Republican, as a conservative Christian, I saw very quickly where the Democrat Party was going. And it was far away from what I believe. It was far away from my principles and values, far away from what I was taught in church, far away from what I was taught at my home. And so in making that decision, it was simply working my Christian values and my conservative Christian principles find a home. And I found that it was the Republican Party. And at that point, it was like a revival for me or a come to Jesus meeting for me. And I made the switch. And we did so with the endorsements of all the leadership of the Republican Party. And today, I sit before you as the only candidate up here that didn't go to the Democrat meeting last week. But I believe in my conservative Christian values, and they fit well in the Republican Party. I've talked a little bit about the folks that mean so much to me with my wife and my children, but also with me tonight are my mom and dad, and they have made played a major part in my life and a major influence in my life. Taking me to church, raising me the way that I believe folks in Anderson County want to raise their children. One of the things that my dad taught me, he came out one day and watched me as I tore apart my bicycle. And he looked at it and he said, "Tim, what in the world are you doing?" And I said, "Well, Dad, I'm fixing it." He said, "Was it broke?" And I said, "No." He said, "If it's not broke, don't fix it." A lot of similarities to this office. The office isn't broke, folks. The office isn't broke. This past year, I was named the County Official of the Year for the state of Tennessee. I've in the past received the Register of the Year twice. Michael wants to talk about budgets and want to talk about doing all these things and being able to do these things. Let me share with you, if he increases fees, that's a tax increase. If he cuts staff, then basically he's laid people off and made them unemployed. And there's only 3 people in the office now. He doesn't even know how to do the job yet. So the question comes back to this. If you're going to make these budgeting decisions, you need to ask what's best for Anderson County. I can't help it that the state of Tennessee made changes in 2006. But I can tell you right now, I made all the necessary efforts to ensure that your money was taken care of. We've never failed an audit. We've made sure that over $24 million was receipted, and we've never missed a penny. Michael Foster is not more qualified to audit my office than the 24 people that come from the state of Tennessee every year and audit it from the comptroller's office. And every time they leave saying, "Tim, this is one of the best offices we have in the state." I'm Tim Shelton. I'm your Register of Deeds. I'm asking you to vote for me. Re-elect me, your Register.
First, I would like to thank the Republican Party for putting on this event. Great turnout. I want to thank the people for being here, for taking time to listen to us. And then I want to thank the moderators, obviously, for their efforts in this event. I'm Michael Foster. I am running for the Register of Deeds office. I do believe in conservative values. As a lifelong Republican, I believe in those values. I'm going to leave you with a couple of choices tonight. One, we can talk about experience. I run a $1.4 million budget at the city of Rocky Top. We were able to add, because of conservative values, $57,000 back to our fund balance this past year. So I understand budgets. I understand how to manage people. We have a staff of 30 employees at the city of Rocky Top that I manage on a daily basis. One of the things that I want to leave you with is, he wants to talk about the Democrat Party leaving him, but for 26 years and 42 months ago, he ran as a Democrat on those values. I, 42 months ago, was supporting the Republican nomination for the Register of Deeds office. I don't have to take an oath to be a Republican because my voting record tells you that I'm a Republican. My conservative values tell you that I'm a Republican, that I'm a conservative. My opponent spent his life defending the Democrats, ran as a Democrat, took money as Democrats, and as soon as the election was over, he just switched parties. I'm the only Republican running in the Republican primary. That's the big difference between this candidate and myself. We can talk about budgets, and we can talk about voting records, but it comes down to there's one conservative Republican running in this race, and there's a Democrat running as a Republican that spent 26 years, the past 26 years in office as a Democrat. Thank you. I'm Michael Foster, and I'm running for Register of Deeds.
Tim Shelton's office is recognized as a standard of excellence among Tennessee Register of Deeds. Tim was named Tennessee County's Official of the Year in 2017. Tim's experience in the Register of Deeds office has enabled Anderson County residents to have one of the most updated and accessible offices in Tennessee. Tim knows the value families place on their land and their heritage. Tim has provided the help families need, from recording deeds to researching family histories. On May 1st, re-elect Tim Shelton, Register of Deeds.
Jeff Cole was born and raised in Anderson County. He has served his hometown for the past 15 years as its county clerk. Jeff was recognized in 2016 as Tennessee's County Clerk of the Year. From updating services on the internet to expanding office hours, Jeff Cole has made the county clerk's office better for all Anderson County families. On Tuesday, May 1st, let's keep Jeff Cole working hard for all of us in Anderson County.
Steve Emmert is a family man, a community volunteer, and a general contractor who has spent 32 years operating a successful construction business, managing more than $15 million in residential and commercial building projects. Steve knows the value of hard work and will bring accountability back to county government. Steve Emmert will put his business experience to work for all Anderson County taxpayers. On May 1st, vote for Steve Emmert for Anderson County Mayor.
Regina Copeland has been recognized as one of our outstanding public officials for nearly 2 decades. Regina manages our county's 911 services and implemented a $1.4 million upgrade and the installation of a Code Red emergency notification system. Responsible for more than $4 million in budget allocations, Regina Copeland is the one candidate with the experience to get the job done right. Elect Regina Copeland, Anderson County Trustee.
Honor, courage, and commitment. For Sheriff candidate Russell Barker, these values were instilled in him as a United States Marine. Over 17 years in law enforcement, Russell has climbed the ranks and appointed the director of the Anderson County Drug Task Force. He's the one candidate on the front lines of the opioid epidemic, while managing a county-wide agency and budget. Guided by his faith and family, he understands the importance of protecting the people of Anderson County. On May 1st, vote Russell Barker for sheriff in the Republican primary.
I'm Scott Burton, and I'm running for Anderson County Trustee. In business, I've managed dozens of employees. Like you, I focus on the bottom line. As a lifelong Republican, I'm fiscally conservative, and I've proven it as Clinton's mayor. We've cut the debt in half over the last 8 years. Now Clinton's on a path to be debt-free in less than 8 years. We deserve an experienced fiscal conservative in the trustee office. I'm Scott Burton, asking your vote in the Republican primary.
We all want to live, work, and play in a safe and crime-free environment. We want to leave our homes without fear. I've dedicated the last 22 years of my life as a peace officer protecting life, property, and the citizens of Anderson County. As a husband, citizen, and peace officer, I am dedicated to the security of our communities, schools, and protecting our God-given rights as Americans. I'm Lewis Rodner, and I ask for your vote in the May 2018 Republican primary for Anderson County Sheriff.
I'm Terry Frank. When I became mayor, I opened the door of the mayor's office to the people of Anderson County. I don't have political handlers. I believe in meeting with people one-on-one. I love getting things done for seniors, for children, for families in our faith community, for our veterans, and for the men and women who work hard every day. And yes, for animals too. I consider myself the people's mayor, your mayor, and I humbly ask for your vote in the May 1st Republican primary.
All right, next is Circuit Court Clerk William Jones and Rex Lynch. If you guys want to come up here, we'll get you ready for your opening statements.
Good evening. I'm William Jones. I am the Circuit Court Clerk here in Anderson County. I would like to take just a moment to thank the Anderson County Republican Party for hosting this event and Ron Meredith for moderating. I would also like to thank my wife and my best friend, Amy Jones. She has stood by me through thick and thin. We have been each other's best friend for years. For me, the circuit court clerk is not just a job title.
They can't hear you back here.
For me, circuit court clerk is not just a job title. I do the work. If it goes through the circuit court clerk's office, General Sessions Division 1 or 2, or juvenile court, it comes through my office. It is a great responsibility and an office of trust. Thank you.
Good evening. I'm Rex Lynch. I am the candidate for the circuit court clerk. First, I want to introduce my family. My wife, Jamie's here. My mom, Nam. My youngest son, Clint, and his wife, Ashley. I appreciate them being here. You know, for the last 2.5 years, I've been an officer at the Anderson County Sheriff's Office. I observed the clerk's office with a very hostile work environment, high turnover rate, and a need for increased professional operations. The clerk's office can be improved by creating special probable cause clerks to issue warrants on a 24/7 basis for our law enforcement. We need a community service program which will provide an alternative to the payment of court costs for our indigent folks in our county. Our current clerk is allowed a legal service on the Anderson County Grand Jury by placing a resident on the from Blount County on our grand jury. We need a clerk who has open communication with all judges and a sincere interest in the court activities. When elected, I promise the clerk's office will be professional, cooperative, compassionate, grateful for the employees and for the citizens working within the circuit court clerk's office. Thank you.
All right, guys. This is going to be fun. I'm telling you. Both of you guys have past issues that present, or current issues that present somewhat of a stumbling block or an impediment. Rex, I'll start with you. With stuff that happened before, how do you see that dealing with your employees if you get elected, and dealing with the office and the public trust? How are you going to go about being able to reestablish that in the office as an elected official?
Well, Ron, I admit I made a mistake. I resigned, and I left a job that I truly loved. I had to go home, and I had to ask my wife for forgiveness, my family, my church family, my friends, and it was a hard time. I asked people to look at the 12 years of service that I had as county mayor. I was very successful. I had the support of the community, and I've got the experience. I mean, I had over 120 employees that I supervised on a daily basis. Never had any issues with personnel problems. Handle it professionally, put professional department heads in place, and that's the way I'll handle the circuit court clerk's office if I'm elected.
Everybody in this room understands what's going on, accusations that have been made. Moving forward, if you are reelected, the allegations have to have a bearing on the people that are still in the office, whether or not true. How do you move through that if reelected and have a good working environment, earning the trust?
The current staff in the office, I believe, is very comfortable around me. They are very comfortable working with me. We do not have a hostile work environment. We've got a good staff, good friendly staff, which I've put in place. That kind of answer your question, or to?
Well, that's your answer. That's your answer. I take it on face value. How did that happen that we seated somebody from Maryville onto the grand jury? How did that happen, William?
Well, when we do the jury, when they come in for the jury, we call out the names. I then ask if there are any convicted felons in the room, or residents of other counties. This is given at least 5 times. So this gentleman had 5 opportunities to come up and see me. If you're a resident of another county or a convicted felon, come to the front and see me. He never came to the front, Ron.
How do we, I'll ask you this and I'll ask Rex the same question. How can we prevent that from happening in the future if somebody don't come forward? How can we prevent that?
He moved in the middle of jury service is what my understanding was.
Rex, how would you prevent something like that from happening in the future?
I think it's having professional staff, it's having communications, I think it's having communications with your jury members weekly, whenever they show up. That's something you continually, you update your staff, the jury members, ask them. I just think it's communications.
And this is for both of you too. I truly do not, obviously I don't know the answer to the question, or I wouldn't ask it. But does that impugn what the grand jury brings back? Can that negate what the grand jury brings back?
It did, and they had to convene a special grand jury, and any of those cases can be reheard.
Now, but what are the biggest issues facing the office of circuit court clerk outside of the, I guess, external factors? But procedurally, in the office, what are some of the things that you perceive as challenges there, and how do you propose to address those issues if elected or re-elected? I guess, Rex?
One of the main issues is communication with the judges. I've been there, like I say, I'm going on 3 years, and the communications with the judges is very poor. I've got a letter here from, anybody's welcome to a copy of it, from Judge Brian Hunt that was wrote last March, and I'll read some of the highlights. Dear Mr. Jones, I recently expressed my concerns to you regarding certain directives that you've given your staff in running your office at juvenile court. I was not consulted. As juvenile court clerk, it's imperative that you take the initiative to learn the law and procedures as it relates to juvenile court. Telling me that you have no interest in familiarizing yourself with juvenile law and procedure is simply not acceptable. Also, the invitation I made 2.5 years ago to you to sit in juvenile court and observe how the court operates still stands. I would appreciate you taking an interest so that your office effectively supports the courts. It's communications, it's working with the judges. It's got to improve.
William?
Well, the letter he's referring to has been addressed. That was a few things that one of my former staff members, which is no longer with me, had misinformed the judge. We have addressed that, and I believe we've worked it out. Some of the things that we're facing right now is getting all of our cases online. From 2010 forward is where we're standing, and we're trying to scan and get them online currently for farther back. That's one of our biggest challenges right now. We are right now moving to a Emory Valley Road location for our Division II court, which was been done last week. We are currently open there today, at court.
Haven't we had a great amount of turnover under your tenure, but didn't Tyler have a pretty good amount of turnover too? And if so, from your perspective, William, and then from your perspective, Rex, why is it so tumultuous in that office? Or why has it been in the past? Or in your opinion, why have we had so much turnover, at least you can address under your tenure?
Stress, job stress. There's a lot of stress coming with filing that paperwork. If you do the least little thing wrong, you're going to have somebody that's got a lot of problems in their life at that point. If you file the wrong paperwork or something, then it's just stressful on them.
I'll tell you what the turnover's been. It's been 8 allegations, sworn oath testimonies, 10 total complaints. When you have that type of turmoil and hostility, you're going to have turnover. Employees are leaving, employees are being moved from one office to the next. It's a very hostile work environment, and I will put a stop to it. Thank you. On May the 1st, the citizens of Anderson County have an opportunity to make a much-needed change in the Circuit Court Clerk's office. We must eliminate the hostile work environment conditions and the high turnover rate. I will work with the judges and create a community service program for indigent defendants. I will work with the judges and create special probable cause clerks for a 24/7 service for our law enforcement on signing warrants. We must eliminate the costly errors like the circuit clerk's audit findings and placing illegal members on the grand jury. I will improve the communication with all the judges and take a sincere interest in each and every court. I am committed, and I will make these improvements in the circuit court clerk's office. I ask for your vote in the Republican primary. Thank you.
It has been my privilege to serve the citizens of Anderson County in this capacity. Many of you have known my family, and my friends have been my friends for a number of years. Anderson County has been my home. Some of you have gone to church with me at Main Street Church in Rocky Top. I've been a small business owner here. I'm the past chairman of the Anderson County Republican Party. You've met me and dealt with me in our everyday lives. Before I was blessed to receive your votes in 2014, I had served in law enforcement. I knew that experience in reports and arraignments would aid in the transition to circuit court clerk, but I didn't stop there. While serving in this office, I earned the designation as Certified Public Administrator from the University of Tennessee. That is exactly what servants should be doing, consistently learning so the service you receive is consistently improving. I try to do what is right, no matter what or who is doing otherwise. I'm sure that there are those who would like to replace me with a yes man. That decision is ultimately up to you, the voters. Now that they have become desperate people will do anything. National politics has shown the way. False accusations have become the trend. In times like those, I look to the scriptures. Matthew 5:11. Blessed are those men shall revile you and persecute you and say all manner of evil against you. As we continue through this election season, I want to continue to serve you with integrity. I cherish your prayers for myself and my family. I humbly ask for your support and vote May 1st.
Since leaving my appointment as Anderson County's Chief Deputy in 2006, we have seen the department's budget double to nearly $12 million. We see reports indicating Anderson County's drug overdose deaths have doubled to the highest level ever recorded. We need a sheriff that will allocate resources where needed, all while doing so with fiscal discipline. My goal is to bring fiscal responsibility to the office without sacrificing public safety. I'm Lewis Rodner, and I ask for your vote in the May 2018 Republican primary for Anderson County Sheriff.
Tim Shelton's office is recognized as a standard of excellence among Tennessee Register of Deeds. Tim was named Tennessee County's Official of the Year in 2017. Tim's experience in the Register of Deeds office has enabled Anderson County residents to have one of the most updated and accessible offices in Tennessee. Tim knows the value families place on their land and their heritage. Tim has provided the help families need, from recording deeds to researching family histories. On May 1st, re-elect Tim Shelton, Register of Deeds.
Jeff Cole was born and raised in Anderson County. He has served his hometown for the past 15 years as its county clerk. Jeff was recognized in 2016 as Tennessee's County Clerk of the Year. From updating services on the internet to expanding office hours, Jeff Cole has made the county clerk's office better for all Anderson County families. On Tuesday, May 1st, let's keep Jeff Cole working hard for all of us in Anderson County.
Steve Emmert is a family man, a community volunteer, and a general contractor who has spent 32 years operating a successful construction business, managing more than $15 million in residential and commercial building projects. Steve knows the value of hard work and will bring accountability back to county government. Steve Emmert will put his business experience to work for all Anderson County taxpayers. On May 1st, vote for Steve Emmert for Anderson County Mayor.
Regina Copeland has been recognized as one of our outstanding public officials for nearly 2 decades. Regina manages our county's 911 services and implemented a $1.4 million upgrade and the installation of a Code Red emergency notification system. Responsible for more than $4 million in budget allocations, Regina Copeland is the one candidate with the experience to get the job done right. Elect Regina Copeland, Anderson County Trustee.
Honor, courage, and commitment. For Sheriff candidate Russell Barker, these values were instilled in him as a United States Marine. Over 17 years in law enforcement, Russell has climbed the ranks and appointed the director of the Anderson County Drug Task Force. He's the one candidate on the front lines of the opioid epidemic, while managing a county-wide agency and budget. Guided by his faith and family, he understands the importance of protecting the people of Anderson County. On May 1st, vote Russell Barker for sheriff in the Republican primary.
I'm Scott Burton, and I'm running for Anderson County Trustee. In business, I've managed dozens of employees. Like you, I focus on the bottom line. As a lifelong Republican, I'm fiscally conservative, and I've proven it as Clinton's mayor. We've cut the debt in half over the last 8 years. Now Clinton's on a path to be debt-free in less than 8 years. We deserve an experienced, fiscal conservative in the trustee office. I'm Scott Burton, asking your vote in the Republican primary.
I'm Terry Frank. When I became mayor, I opened the door of the mayor's office to the people of Anderson County. I don't have political handlers. I believe in meeting with people one-on-one. I love getting things done for seniors, for children, for families in our faith community, for our veterans, and for the men and women who work hard every day. And yes, for animals too. I consider myself the people's mayor, your mayor, and I humbly ask for your vote in the May 1st Republican primary.
We're going to continue on. We've got our sheriff's candidates here today. Trying to get them in here. Herding cats. Folks, we're going to get started with the sheriff's candidates if you want to come on in and hear them. We're going to let them go ahead and make their opening statements.
Good evening. I am Russell Barker, and I'm a candidate for Anderson County Sheriff. I have a bachelor's degree in criminal justice. I'm a former Marine, a veteran law enforcement officer, and I currently serve as the director of the 7th Judicial Crime Task Force. But most importantly, I am a husband to my wonderful wife, Crystal, and a father to my daughter, Ansley. Ansley can't be here tonight. She's getting ready for a dance recital, so she's not here. I'd offered to give her a few dance moves from the 80s. Turns out she wasn't interested in learning about the Cabbage Patch. As I stand here before you tonight, there are many issues facing our county, and I could share a ton of statistics and stories about crime and burglary, but I'm not going to do that. It's time to get down to answers. I will be, as your candidate, as you hear tonight, you're going to listen to three men who genuinely love Anderson County and want to make a difference. But I submit to you that I'm the best candidate, ready to lead this department forward, ready to lead in a pivotal time in our county. Thank you for your time, and I look forward to tonight.
Very good evening. My name's Lewis Rodner. I began my law enforcement career with the Anderson County Sheriff's Department as a reserve deputy. Hired on full-time as a corrections officer in 1995, worked my way up until appointed as Operations Chief Deputy in 2002. Leaving my appointment in 2006, I've now served 10 years with the Oak Ridge Police Department, the last 5 as a full-time liaison to the Department of Energy. In seeking the Republican nomination for sheriff, I hear people say it doesn't matter about the party on the local level. I disagree. If you believe that big government and more money for each problem is the answer, then inherently you will govern that way. If you do believe it is about the person, then I believe as a Republican, I can better serve in the office with the principles established in me. Most importantly in my consideration in running for sheriff, since leaving my appointment in 2006, I've seen the Sheriff's Department budget double to what is now the largest general fund budget in the county at $12 million. I hope tonight I can address any concerns or questions you may have. I look forward to answering them. Thank you.
My name is Mark Whaley. Most people just know me as Hollywood. I've had that nickname since I was in high school, and it has just stuck. And it could have been worse, because I've heard some bad nicknames. So Hollywood probably isn't too bad. But I've been a police officer in Anderson County, law enforcement in the Anderson County community for over 33 years, almost 34 now. All but 2 years, which I spent at Clinton Police Department, have been with the Anderson County Sheriff's Office. And I've spent that time out in the communities, working with the communities, working with the people in the communities, working in the schools, working with children. I taught DARE for going on, I guess, over 23 years, going in these schools, working with these children. And going and working with our seniors, checking our older people, working with our younger people. But it's the people in the communities that I've been serving all these years, and I want to continue to serve as your sheriff. Thank you.
Guys, Jim's done most of the heavy lifting on the questions for you tonight. I've got one that I am concerned about that I want to know. I don't know how much you'll know about it or how you'll be able to answer it. We'll see. Those are always fun ones, aren't they? Yeah. About a year and a half ago, the sky was falling. We had this terrible breach at the Anderson County Courthouse. You guys familiar with what I'm talking about? How long does it take to do an investigation on something like that? Because the DA evidently finished his investigation. We've had a number of agencies in here. And in the Sheriff's Department right now, there's an investigation that we can't get. If any of you are elected, can you guys release that? Or can you give me an idea of how long something like that takes? Because I feel like we've spent $100,000 or better. We're going to get some of that back with insurance, but we've spent a whole lot of money to do an investigation, and I'm sure there's been money allocated in the sheriff's department, but we, the citizens of Anderson County, don't have anything, nothing, except reports in the sheriff's department that not being released. So as our next sheriff, can we get those results, please?
I want to go ahead and answer this. Having served as chief deputy and been in the position to do internal affairs investigations for sensitive information, I have also been tasked to investigate government-related wrongdoing. In doing so, it causes some difficulty in your position, particularly if it's someone within your own party. But I have shown a willingness to do the right thing. I think in these type of circumstances, a proper venue would be for the Attorney General, who is the only person that could call in the Tennessee Bureau of Investigation, to do so immediately. This would have been wrapped up a long time ago. The Sheriff's Department should have done an initial investigation. Once they determined that there was any probable cause that a crime had been committed, they should have referred that to the DA. He should have taken the proper steps. Those files would not have been opened from the TBI, but we could have been assured that they were handled in a proper manner, and the public would be better suited in believing the final outcome rather than it drag on and on and on.
And I agree as well. The public needs to stay informed. I haven't heard about anything from it myself, and I work there. So I don't know what the status of it is. But the public needs to be informed. They need to know what's going on with the things that has affected them, their families, and the people that work at the courthouse.
Yeah, there's really not much to add to that, other than anytime you tackle an investigation, it's imperative that you leave no stone unturned. And particularly in one of this magnitude, it definitely would require probably an outside agency such as the TBI to ensure that it is investigated properly and make sure that there's no show of favoritism.
Thank you, guys. Jim's got some questions.
One thing that we've known for a really long time, and I know that and sometimes in your official capacities, we've had conversations about this. It's long been known that property crimes in Anderson County and its municipalities, as well as, I mean, really the nation over, are largely driven by culprits needing money for drugs. I know that we've got a lot of proactive things going on in the county to fight that problem, both property crimes and the drugs that fuel them. How will you continue that fight in Anderson County? And we'll start with, I guess, Russell, since he's looking at me.
As far as property crimes go, they're definitely driven by narcotics use and abuse. And I think that what we want to do is use the task force model, not just to combat that, but to combat a lot of crimes. The Crime Task Force is a multi-jurisdictional task force. It allows us to have a bunch of things that are different. As far as like with narcotics, you want to make sure that you have all of your narcotics agents under the same roof. It eliminates competition between agencies. It creates an information sharing type environment where no one has to worry about who is getting the big bus. And more specifically, if we have a nexus to Anderson County, it gives us statewide jurisdiction, which is absolutely huge. That will bleed off into your property crimes, plus the Crime Task Force also has a crime scene side with a truck that has cutting edge technology as far as processing crime scenes.
Right here is a 100-page report from Knoxville Regional Forensic Center, 100 pages that details a 7-year report on the drug problems in Anderson County. Underneath this task force model that keeps being praised successful, by any objective measurement, it has not worked. Our overdose deaths have doubled in the last 5 years to the highest ever recorded in Anderson County, above both state and national averages. We have an upward trend in every illicit drug category. The task force has allocated a certain amount of money. Their expenditures are greater than that, so they have to get seizures to operate on. I call that policing for profit. As a sheriff, if a citizen calls in a complaint, they expect the sheriff as an elected official to address that complaint, not be farmed off to the 7th Judicial Task Force. I'm not saying we can't work in conjunction with them, but I will take the lead and better allocate the Sheriff's Department resources to investigate those things that are, because there is a nexus between crimes against persons and property. You can't have one without the other. Thank you.
Yeah, the drug issues in our communities are great, and matter of fact, I doubt there's probably anybody in here that personally, somebody in their family hasn't had an issue with opiates or some type of drug problem. So it's a multi-tiered approach that needs to be taken, and we're arresting the same people over and over and over again for the same thing. We'll arrest them, they'll do the paperwork, they get out, and they're back to doing business again. So we've got to look at the different avenues. Are there grants available to help us work these drug cases? Drug cases take a long time to work, but we need a different look and look and see what we need to do that can be different to help our communities.
You were citing that 7-year study, and Russell's on the, runs the task force. How can we fix anything if we don't know why it's happening?
Well, this tells you what happens.
Why is it?
It details out, the Knoxville Forensic Center looks at death and determines how the death occurred. And then they look at that death and see how it poses a public safety, and it recommends measures in which to address that. We could cut off opioids tomorrow, 100%, and we would have very little impact on our overdose deaths. Addicts don't understand consequences. Dependents understand consequences. What we're doing now by taking down the opioid levels, we're increasing the price for other and more dangerous drugs for them to have availability. Without changing the demand and putting more emphasis on behavior, we cannot change that. We are just seeing the same, even though the prescriptions are way down, overdoses are way up. We have to put more emphasis on mental health treatment and recovery in order to change the demand. And this starts at the border. It doesn't start, Anderson County is not an island upon itself. It's state, federal, as a conjunction to address this problem. Thank you.
You two want to weigh in on that, the way you think it ought to be?
Well, it's not a one easy fix thing. Again, I'll just tell you, my oldest stepdaughter, it took 4 times through rehab for her to finally get it, and I'm really proud of her. 6 months clean. She's not been 6 months clean since she was in high school. So it's a brain issue, and it's an issue that is just not easily solved. But we need to try to find some ways to get some people some help that maybe we can get some relief, because these people don't. The addicts are addicts, and they're going to use something. And if we can make it harder for them to get these things, and also maybe give them some help to change the way they're thinking, we can help start solving some problems with this.
Yeah, we're going to have to address mental health issues and make partnerships with the faith community, with mental health, with medical care, and various other groups to address these issues. But that doesn't mean that the task force model doesn't work, because it simply does, in my opinion. This is where you'll see the greatest degree of separation between Lewis and I. This very same report that he's referring to, 2016, when you go and read it in its entirety and you look, and it says what can be done, they actually recommend multi-jurisdictional task forces, which is the very thing we have here in Anderson County through the 7th Judicial Crime Task Force. One of the things is that you're going to hear is that we are a on-loan task force, and that is true. What we do is we have assigned narcotics officers and or investigators to our task force. The one thing that we've been able to do is create some tremendous success, but yet we've never had everybody on board at the exact same time. One agency gets in, the other one gets out. It's never been that way. So staffing issues have been an issue. As sheriff, we staff that, we make it work, and we work together, because that is the best way to tackle this.
I thought we were doing real good on time, but we're evidently pushed for time. So guys, we're going to have to go to your closing statements, okay?
Well, I'm just thankful again to have the opportunity to come down here and speak to you guys, let y'all know a little more about me. Hey, I'm just a people's person, guys. I've just worked out here in these communities. I've been fostering relationships with people and communities for, I guess, almost 3 generations now. And I love the people of Anderson County, and I love serving, and I want to continue to serve as your sheriff and help make a difference any way we can. Now, I appreciate your vote. Thank you.
I want to thank the Anderson County Republican Party for hosting tonight's forum. Most importantly, I want to thank my wife Pam of 22 years, who's here tonight, for her unwavering support. It is important to know the overall operations of the Sheriff's Department directly impacts the tax rate regardless of what area of the county you live in. Previously serving as Chief Deputy, I saw my role as a Republican to provide responsible budgets while enhancing public safety and improving the lives of Anderson County citizens, and I believe my record reflects that. Our county faces many problems. Previously overseeing the Sheriff's Department Drug Task Force with much success, I believe a citizen reports a drug complaint or crime, the sheriff as an elected official and accountable to the voters is responsible, not an appointed official. I will again lead in this effort by better allocation of resources to meet our goal. By any objective measure, what we are doing now is not working. Since abdicating the Sheriff's Department drug investigations to the 7th Judicial Drug Task Force under Director Barker, independent reports indicate Anderson County's drug overdose deaths have doubled. These are people, not statistics, and above both state and national average with a reported upward trend in every illicit drug category. I am the only Republican candidate with experience managing the department's budget, working with county legislative bodies while also managing the resources and manpower that make up the department. Additionally, serving with the Oak Ridge Police Department for the last 10 years, the last 5 as a liaison to the U.S. Department of Energy, I have formed partnerships I believe will be invaluable in cooperative effort to meet these goals. In closing, I am a Republican because the principles of the Republican Party better align with my beliefs. I'm the only sheriff candidate of either party to take a leave of absence in seeking the office to assure the highest ethical standard. I will be a uniformed sheriff accessible to the public and the only candidate for sheriff to pledge to a 2-term limit. I'm Lewis Ryder and ask for your support in the May 1st Republican primary. Thank you.
Can you guys still hear me? It clicked. I thought it turned to dog. Again, I want to thank the Executive Party for having us here tonight, and a big thanks to all you guys here in attendance. Over a year ago, we started this journey to be the Republican nominee for sheriff. I've had an opportunity to travel from New River all the way to Andersonville and talk to a lot of folks. Aside from specific crimes that have been specific crime issues that we've been told, I've heard one common thing, is that we truly want a sheriff to serve them. When I took an oath to join the United States Marine Corps, when I took an oath to be a police officer for the state of Tennessee, I took that oath to heart. I made a vow to never stop serving and protecting all of you. And I will do the same as your next sheriff. I want to tell you that management is important, but Lewis doesn't have a grip on that. My foundation is built on one of the finest establishments in the world, the United States Marine Corps. I've had command level staff training from Southeastern Leadership Academy, the FBI's Tennessee Leadership Development Center. And I think when you couple all that together, I'm ready to do this. I am currently the only Republican candidate who's administering a budget. I am currently the only Republican candidate who's managing a countywide agency. So I would ask you this. Leadership principles, whether you're leading 5 people or 500 people, are the same. What changes is how you get that message out. That is it. Leadership principles are the same, 5 or 500. With that, I humbly ask for your vote and support, because together we can really make a difference. Thank you so much.
Honor, courage, and commitment. For Sheriff candidate Russell Barker, these values were instilled in him as a United States Marine. Over 17 years in law enforcement, Russell has climbed the ranks and appointed the director of the Anderson County Drug Task Force. He's the one candidate on the front lines of the opioid epidemic, while managing a county-wide agency and budget. Guided by his faith and family, he understands the importance of protecting the people of Anderson County. On May 1st, vote Russell Barker for sheriff in the Republican primary.
I'm Scott Burton, and I'm running for Anderson County Trustee. In business, I've managed dozens of employees. Like you, I focus on the bottom line. As a lifelong Republican, I'm fiscally conservative, and I've proven it as Clinton's mayor. We've cut the debt in half over the last 8 years. Now Clinton's on a path to be debt-free in less than 8 years. We deserve an experienced fiscal conservative in the trustee office. I'm Scott Burton, asking your vote in the Republican primary.
I'm Terry Frank. When I became mayor, I opened the door of the mayor's office to the people of Anderson County. I don't have political handlers. I believe in meeting with people one-on-one. I love getting things done for seniors, for children, for families in our faith community, for our veterans, and for the men and women who work hard every day. And yes, for animals too. I consider myself the people's mayor. your mayor, and I humbly ask for your vote in the May 1st Republican primary.
Tim Shelton's office is recognized as a standard of excellence among Tennessee Register of Deeds. Tim was named Tennessee County's Official of the Year in 2017. Tim's experience in the Register of Deeds office has enabled Anderson County residents to have one of the most updated and accessible offices in Tennessee. Tim knows the value families place on their land and their heritage. Tim has provided the help families need, from recording deeds to researching family histories. On May 1st, re-elect Tim Shelton, Register of Deeds.
Jeff Cole was born and raised in Anderson County. He has served his hometown for the past 15 years as its county clerk. Jeff was recognized in 2016 as Tennessee's County Clerk of the Year. From updating services on the internet to expanding office hours, Jeff Cole has made the county clerk's office better for all Anderson County families. On Tuesday, May 1st, let's keep Jeff Cole working hard for all of us in Anderson County.
Steve Emmert is a family man, a community volunteer, and a general contractor who has spent 32 years operating a successful construction business, managing more than $15 million in residential and commercial building projects. Steve knows the value of hard work and will bring accountability back to county government. Steve Emmert will put his business experience to work for all Anderson County taxpayers. On May 1st, vote for Steve Emmert for Anderson County Mayor.
Regina Copeland has been recognized as one of our outstanding public officials for nearly 2 decades. Regina manages our county's 911 services and implemented a $1.4 million upgrade and the installation of a Code Red emergency notification system. Responsible for more than $4 million in budget allocations, Regina Copeland is the one candidate with the experience to get the job done right. Elect Regina Copeland, Anderson County Trustee.
My wife, Pam, and I have lived and worked in Anderson County throughout our lives. In 1993, I began my career as a Reserve Deputy Sheriff and dedicated my life to protecting and serving others. Previously serving as the Anderson County Sheriff's Department Chief Deputy, I am the only Republican candidate with the experience managing the department's budget, working with county legislative bodies, while managing the manpower and resources that make up the department. I'm Lewis Rodner, and I ask for your vote in the May 2018 Republican primary for Anderson County Sheriff.
We'll now have our candidates for county mayor, please. All right, guys. Steve, you will give your opening statements first. You can do it there or here, wherever you'd like.
Hello, everyone. My name is Steve Emmert. I'm seeking to serve you as mayor of Anderson County. I am married to my soulmate, Heather. For the last 25 years, have 2 wonderful children. I'm a business owner who understands management, hard work, and how to get things accomplished in a cooperative manner. I'm an active member of Second Baptist Church, currently serving on Budget and Finance Committee, choir member, and have formerly taught Sunday school and served as trustee. My Christian values, more than anything, shape who I am. Everyone in the audience knows that Anderson County government is a mess. There is a leadership crisis that is evident in several areas, from zoning issues to EMS to a list of lawsuits that has cost taxpayers nearly $500,000. A lot of these problems stem from lack of cooperation between county officials, and I promise to change that. I'll bring everyone to the table, listen to people, and work to find answers together. Thank you very much.
Good evening. For those who may not know me, my father was from a long line of Anderson Countyans who settled in New River. I was born and raised here, grew up in Oliver Springs, graduated from Anderson County High School, earned a Bachelor of Arts degree in Political Science from MTSU, where I was active in the college and Young Republicans, and where I also met my husband, Lee. We have 3 sons, Atticus, Davis, and Avery, and now a daughter-in-law, Rachel. My husband and I operated a small restaurant here in Oak Ridge for over 20 years, and we live in Clinton. When I first ran for mayor, I promised to bring my business sense to work in government. I pledged to work my hardest to keep taxes down, while at the same time offering efficiencies, innovation, and fresh new ideas. I've done that and more. When I ran my business and when I became mayor, I have always believed in serving people. I believe you deserve someone in office who will work for you, who will advocate for our county and its people, and who will give it 110% for all the right reasons.
We got a lot of ground to cover. We're going to try and go quick, okay? Jim and I both have some questions I think that are relevant and that both of you all are anxious to ask. Let me get some of the fun stuff out of the way first. Steve, for you, Friday, you heard the chairman of the Democratic Party call in and basically endorse you. I have been asked to ask you if you sought that endorsement.
No, sir, I can't control the actions of other people. I've went through the process of the Republican group and the Republican Party. Matter of fact, I'm actually a bona fide Republican. So I voted Republican, and I believe in the Republican values. Just like Tim Shelton said, I'm a Christian, and I've always been Republican. So I can't control the actions of others. I can't control what other people do. But I'll tell you what I will do is I will serve all people, not just Republicans and Democrats, Libertarians, Tea Party. When somebody walks through my door, I will treat them equally. There is no D or I when it comes to the mayor's office.
Mayor Frank, under the 81 rule, what do you see as your responsibilities? And after she answers, Steve, I'll let you answer that. What you see the mayor's responsibilities under the 81 rule?
Well, under the 81 Act, the mayor is still over the departments because the job of the mayor is always to execute the will of commission. So they are the policy makers, they set the budget. That role has not changed. What does change under the 81 Act is oversight of the finance office, the oversight of the purchasing office, oversight, the checks and balances for checking contracts, and then also the responsibility of proposing a budget. So that is now weighted more heavily in the commission's court. As they control 4 of the members of the finance, 4 of the 7 members of the finance committee. Also, they control the entirety of the budget committee now, as well as the purchasing committee. So in terms of financial responsibility, that has moved aside.
Do you agree with that description of the responsibilities?
Yes, I do. Going to Nashville on many occasions, we should have went to the 81 Act long time ago. There's only very few counties left in the state of Tennessee that still operate under the 57 Act, but I'm a firm believer that the 81 Act, we should have done that at the very beginning. It puts the budget process solely under the commissioners. We have a budget committee consisting of 8 commissioners. The mayor still has a vote on the finance committee, along with the road superintendent, school board superintendent, and 4 others. So I think if the county commission is going to be held accountable for the budget, then the county commission needs to be involved immediately right at the beginning of the budget process.
Your opinion, and two, if you're elected, you want it to stay just like it is.
Yes, sir. I praise the 81 Act.
Go ahead. I'm trying to get through everything they wanted us to ask you as far as our listeners are concerned.
Whichever one of you wins the election, you've got 2 issues. The senior center, which was purchased, now we find we can't use it. There in Clinton. And then here in Oak Ridge, you've got the cost overruns on the Oak Ridge Court relocation project. What do you think is going to happen going forward in both of those situations? And how can situations like this be avoided in the future? Basically, how do we get all the stakeholders on the same page? Mayor?
Well, I think what we see with the 1981 Act, in the particular case of the senior center, is the responsibilities. There was no clear chain of command. Commissioner Emmert was the signatory on that contract. Commissioner Emmert was responsible as the buyer. His initials are on that contract. And working with the law director, that purchase was made without the proper checks that normally occur in the financial process. So going forward with the senior center, we've, after the fact, we have engaged in a series of inspections that culminated this week with a structural engineer. We have those findings back. We're going to try to get back into the building, but we have to make sure that it is done with safety and security in mind. That is the priority for our seniors.
Steve, let me ask you something real quick based on that with the senior center, unless you want to respond to what Jim asked.
First of all, the chairman of county commission always signs every resolution that comes by and comes across that desk. If you'll notice at the end of county commission meetings, you'll see a lady come up front, and we always sign. The chairman is a spokesperson for all the commission, and the chairman of county commission will always sign every resolution and document that comes before them. And as far as the senior center, we go under the advice of law director. And once we did a slight walkthrough, but the seniors wanted that building. They came before us on several occasions. We tried to get the armory for them. That didn't pan out, but once we told them about the Main Street building, they were all ecstatic about that. But anything can be fixed, anything can be worked on, and that's what we'll do when I become mayor. But keep in mind, mayor is over buildings and grounds, regardless. So if somebody was left out of the process, it was their fault and that was their responsibility.
You mentioned that you follow the advice of the law director, and anybody that listens to me understands that I've taken issue with this because that's $600,000 of my money. How do we avoid that going forward? If it was a mistake, because I played on the radio station probably 100 times over, the law director in an open public meeting telling you guys he had it inspected and it came back good. And that's exact quote. And that didn't happen. And you guys made decisions, and that was a mistake. How can we avoid mistakes like that from our highest ranking legal authority in the county going forward? Who holds him accountable to help guide him not to bring us there? Is it chairman? Is it the entire commission? The mayor? Who? Everybody? How do we avoid that going forward? Because we've had quite a few of those lately.
Go ahead, Steve.
County commission, people don't realize county commission is a part-time job. So, but really and truly, it is a full-time job as far as when you get home. I've been told that I should have went and done inspections myself since I'm a general contractor. That is not my job. It's illegal for me to go and do inspections. I'm not a certified inspector. I will not be a certified inspector. So that is not my job. The mayor is solely over buildings and grounds. If there needs to be an inspection, that would be the mayor's call. Roger, which is over maintenance. Roger can be in on every meeting that there is. But as far as General Sessions Court, I'm very frustrated with Michael Brady's crew because of what's went on at General Sessions Court. The scope of work needs to be greater. People need to oversee that. Roger needs to be involved. Our codes enforcement needs to be involved when it comes to bids. And that's one of the mayor's responsibilities.
Do you want to respond to that?
Sure. Well, it is normally one of the mayor's responsibilities, and I'm big on accountability and accepting ownership when I have been assigned a job. In this particular case, as Ron has pointed out, he played the tape over and over, and I listened to the program for 10 minutes that day, and I heard that repeated 40 times in those few minutes. We were advised as the elected officials that an inspection had taken place and that it was a thumbs up and everything was okay. Now at that point, what is my job to do as mayor? I think we know if I would have challenged the law director how that would have turned out, but what was I to base that off of? Again, I have raised this issue with regard to communication. When the law director cuts out one entire branch of government, that is not what people elected their officials to do. There are checks and balances. I will certainly own something if it is placed in my lap, and we have, for instance, right now, a Glen Alpine Convenience Center purchase where we're looking at property. The law director stood up in front of county commission, told me that I didn't need to waste the county's money on title insurance. Well, at this very moment, we're looking at a problem where Phil Cry, who's doing some work for us, has already found in the deed that we cannot enter that property from Highway 441. Will that be a problem for the taxpayer? Yes. So that's why we have to look at these things.
Steve, I've already asked you this, you've answered it, but they've asked me to ask you again, ask the mayor. If you're elected, will you impose a wheel tax? And Mayor, the same question. I'm
No
sorry.
way on a wheel tax. I'm sorry. I don't know where that started and where it's coming from, but no way on a wheel tax.
Thank you, Mayor.
No, sir, no wheel tax. I think the idea gets resurrected every few years, and as Jeff Cole knows well, but no wheel tax.
We've got some of the executive summary for EMS. EMS is having some problems. We got some financial problems. The full summary, I think, is going to come out later in April. Myron's going to come on the radio and talk about it. We'll probably have a lot of folks coming on the radio talking about it. I'm just going to real quickly. It says here, Anderson County EMS is fighting a valiant but likely unwinnable battle to remain financially and operationally viable as a self-funding entity in both the emergency and non-emergency spheres. The decision to change the ambulance service to a special revenue fund in 2017 away from an enterprise fund was prudent. It is likely that Anderson County Emergency Services will require additional funding from the county for the foreseeable future. It goes on to talk about our ambulances are not functioning properly, on and on and on and on, and the dollar amounts that it recommends are staggering. And we've got to have ambulances. I would just like you guys to, if you could, surmise how we got here, because that too falls in your purview, Mayor. Absolutely. How we got here, and at the same time, how we're going to fix it. Okay. If you want to start.
Well, I want to walk back, and I know my time is limited, but very quickly, back in 2009, the ambulance fund was made into an enterprise fund to offload those assets, make the county's books look better. CTAS, who my opponent is quoting here as a proponent of the 81 Act, CTAS warned Anderson County government that unless you allocate $1 million on the front end for our ambulance service, making it an enterprise fund will not work. You will not be able to fund capital replacement costs. Not only did Anderson County not give them $1 million to start up as an enterprise fund, they assigned them debt over $600,000. So they're immediately with a CTAS recommendation, $1.6 million in the hole. That's about where we are right now. Our operational costs have stayed steady, but we have been unable to replace equipment. That is where we are. We are a government service. We bring in over $5.5 million, and the county should make a contribution. These are lives on the line.
Yes, when I came in as commissioner for the first term, I was the only thing I ever heard was how the EMS department was they were self-sufficient. The EMS, I went and met with EMS Director Nathan Sweet, and he gave me the whole rundown, about an hour and a half long conversation. And yes, the mayor is correct. That falls solely under the mayor. And from what we have gathered, we didn't even, as commissioners, we didn't even know the EMS was in trouble until the 81 Act came about, and Ms. Erb told us that what the debt was for EMS. That there has been no leadership or guidance in EMS. The director for EMS has been he's allowed to do what he wants to do. It's been totally mismanaged. They operate with an open-end checkbook. That cannot happen. That is poor leadership. There is no leadership as far as I'm concerned. So when I get in there and elected as mayor, the first thing that I will do will be meet with all of everybody that as far as officers go in EMS, and there will be a round table and there will be discussion.
Ron, I would like to respond to that as it was an attack. Nathan and his team do an outstanding job. They are recognized by the governor. They have been awarded Service of the Year twice. Nathan has been Administrator of the Year. This is a funding problem that goes down to an aging population, high, for folks at home and for folks here, 8% of our payers have private insurance. We are looking at a majority of folks who have Medicare and Medicaid try to run any business when the costs are capped. When I have come to commission with ideas, and I'm going to bring this one out as one example, I came asking the federal government, our elected leaders, Senator Corker, Senator Alexander, and Congressman Fleischman, to work with bipartisan members of Congress to increase Medicare reimbursement rates. These issues are taking place nationally. Here was Commissioner Emmert's response to a request. I am signing as chairman. I voted no. Now, why would you vote no to increase the reimbursement rates for Anderson County EMS unless it was going to destroy your political plan to run for office? There is no excuse for that.
All right, Mayor, your time's up. Steve, do you want to respond to that real
Yes,
quick?
definitely. The reason I didn't want my name on that resolution, first of all, is because they started out with a $5.4 million budget. Then they come in and want $450 more with no, here we go, an open-end checkbook. I will not give them any more money for the EMS. We have a great EMS department, but that doesn't mean we have great EMS leadership. We need to focus on the leadership aspect of it. The mayor is solely over the EMS, regardless of the signature. I don't want my signature on giving them any more money after commission tells how they have been mismanaging and misspending their funds that they've got now. P cards show it. So frivolous spending has to end, and that starts with leadership.
Let me see, I want to see if I understand this so folks at home can understand this. It is your opinion, Mayor Frank, that County Commission underfunded it as per the recommendation of CTAS. They said you start with $1 million or it will fail.
Yes.
And we started with a $600,000 deficit. So that's
Yes,
your
sir.
opinion of why it failed. And Commissioner Emmert, your opinion is that our management operates with that we've overspent ourselves.
Completely.
Okay.
We can't do that, Ron. The commission sets a budget, and we would have, if we overspend our budget, there's an audit finding. You cannot overspend your budget. They set the budget. EMS actually receives approximately $5.5 million in revenue. The Sheriff's Department doesn't bring in that kind of revenue, but we look at that as a service. It is a service to the citizens. We owe it to the citizens to respond in an emergency, to tackle crime. We invest in that. Why do we not see it as an important thing to invest in life-saving medical treatment?
Well, but in fairness, we're upside down. I mean, we're bringing in money,
Yes.
but we are upside down.
I challenge anyone in this room or at home to Google emergency medical service, ambulance service across the nation right now and see what is happening all across the nation. We are one of the only counties in the entire state of Tennessee that does not assign pennies on the tax rate to their service.
Okay. Let's move away from the financial issues because you guys are going to disagree on that all night. Some of the other issues that we have that don't seem to be related to money are like response times. We should be anywhere in the county in 12 minutes, and we're not. Do either of you, without being part of the emergency services, have recommendations of how we can fix that?
Well, absolutely, and the audit is just a really wonderful tool, and I'm very thankful that County Commission allocated funding for it because it gets into that. When they talk about benchmarks for success, they note that the only thing that County Commission has been focused on is downward pressure on price. And you have to set performance standards. And performance standards, and we can talk to our Sheriff's Department, we can talk to our Judicial Task Force. You set those standards, and then you have to fund what it takes to get there. Yes, we can improve time, and it also is probably going to be another station somewhere. It's going to be some more ambulances, and all of those things cost money. So yes, there are definite ways to improve that, but we also need to work with Commission, and they need to partner with our ambulance service and say, what do we want for our citizens? For instance, the folks in Bryceville, what do we want their response time to be?
Steve?
Yes, we have to look at demographics as well. With the train that we have, yes, everybody wants quicker and better response time. We've got a great EMS department, but that don't mean we have great leadership. You can talk with anybody in EMS. There has to be changes. We have to make changes. One of the comments that was just made that we're number one here and number one there. I would be number one too if I had an open-end checkbook. We cannot keep spending. Everybody has to live within their means. Yet, who wouldn't want to be the world police? We'd like to have an ambulance, a police officer, a fire truck on every corner. But guess what? Our budget does not allow that. But we need to, as leadership, we need to step in. We need to see where the money's being wasted, and we need to do what's best for Anderson County.
I've got a couple more questions, but they're asking me to wrap up. But I will leave it to you guys. I've got a couple more if you'll give me the permission to do it, or if you're ready to wrap up, I'll wrap up. You sure? All right. Very quickly. I've just hijacked all your questions, haven't I? I'm sorry. I would like to know if anybody knows the price for the court remodel, the full price. Where are we? We moved in today. William was talking about we had court down there today. How much has it cost? Either of you.
It's well over $700,000.
What was the proposal that Mr. Brady then brought to us?
400.
All right.
400 something thousand.
You know, we're getting. Okay, I'm gonna stay with my moderator hat right now. Yeah. All right. Next, we just bought. Mayor Frank referenced the convenience center property that we bought. Do either of you know how much it's going to cost us to move the Glen Alpine Convenience Center? Do we have an appraisal on that yet?
Well, we haven't purchased the property yet. County Commission just entered into a contract with money down.
Okay.
So we have until the end of May to close that, barring any issues, which that's why we've been doing, going through the checklist to make sure there are no issues. The cost, that will just depend, Ron, on what the county wants to do at that particular location. So right now, the county is looking at just mirroring in a better way the current site and the current services. So not adding additional recycling capabilities or a materials recovery center or anything like that. I'm sorry, I don't have those numbers in front of me, but I want to say the cost when they first looked at it was maybe close to $300,000. But that was also based on doing a ramp and a cover. So I don't know for that site what the specific numbers are. I don't think they've gone out to bid.
Do you have any?
The numbers that were brought for us, the mayor and I sat on the committee to try to work out the convenience center. I had an issue with the cost of relocating, but there's like 470 something in one fund. Clinton City is going to allocate X amount of dollars. So the overall project, our last figure was around 800 and don't quote me on the 831, somewhere around. But the money is there.
We've got the money to do it.
We've got the money to do it.
Okay, very good. We've had, on a number of times where we have overages, is it fair to say that the same companies are involved when we have these overages, Brady and some of the others? Have you guys as a body, and I'm speaking to our whole body, had conversations that they bring, that we are prepared up front to see so that we don't run into a $300,000 or $400,000 bid and an $800,000 price tag?
I think the issue with the cost overrun on general sessions was that our law director is a legal advisor, and he became the project manager and the project owner. Our buildings and ground director actually predicted this cost, and on the front end, I actually recommended that if commission was going to allocate funds for this court, that we go ahead and buy that facility. Tony Cappiello offered it between $600,000 and $800,000. We would not have to invest in further remodeling, and we would have an asset on the main Oak Ridge Turnpike. It turns out that was probably prudent advice, but that's all we can do. when we're working together is offer ideas. But Roger Lloyd did predict this cost.
Yeah, I like the General Sessions Court in the Daniel Arthur Building. I do not, the only people that I've ever heard as far as architects has been Michael Brady. It's not that they've not done a good job, but as far as I'm concerned, they dropped the ball on this one. The scope of work was terrible. It was solely their fault. But now the Daniel Arthur Building General Sessions Court is a very nice court, and there's a grand opening and a walkthrough 3 o'clock Friday. It's a very nice building. It's county owned. The property that Capiello has right now will go back on the tax roll when it's sold, and that is great for the county.
Last question is a pretty easy one. Steve, if you win, you become our county executive, will you pledge to work with all the commissioners and the law director and everybody? And the same question for you, Mayor. If you're reelected, will you work with everybody? Can everybody start getting together, working together, so that we can move the county forward? You go first, Steve.
I promise you that. I will bring leadership to this county. I will work with every department. It'll be an open door. I will be in that room when the door is open. I will work with every department. I will be hands-on. That's what we're lacking right now. We've got to have leadership, and we've got to send this county in a different direction. We can't keep, right now, the county's $54 million in debt right now. We can't keep going that direction. So yes, I pledge, and I promise you that I will work with every department.
Yes, Ron, I will.
Okay. You guys can have your closing statement.
From the first time I ran, I've never strayed from my belief that my job is to work for you. You deserve a public servant. My first act of office was swinging open a door that had been closed. I opened the door of the mayor's office to the people. My job is to hear you, to know you, to go out into the community and understand you, to stand up for you. I don't have political handlers. I work for you. I take the job of mayor seriously and am constantly working to make sure the county is properly represented. That when there is opportunity for partnership, when there's a table where we need an advocate, where there is a need that requires a voice, I am there. You have heard some very aggressive comments from my opponent tonight, as if he were an outsider looking in. But please note that he has served on county commission since 2012, and he has also served as chairman of that body. Not $1 is spent without their approval. As I told Steve when he was elected, I would love to partner with him on a project or for his district or on a passion that he has for our county, like I have done with other county commissioners. It is unfortunate that he has never given me that opportunity, but I am an optimist and I always hold out hope. I currently serve on a deep list of boards and committees, from chairman to Homeland Security Council, to the board of East Tennessee Economic Development Agency, to the board of directors for the Association of Tennessee Valley Governments. And I do all of this to make a difference for our county. Being there, showing up, is an important part of making us a more prosperous county. Whether it is a regional meeting to better our county or a one-on-one with a pastor who needs water at his church in a remote area of the county, I show up. In closing, we live in one of the most diverse counties in the state, from the Science of Oak Ridge to the rural mountains of Bryceville. I consider myself the people's mayor, your mayor, and I humbly ask for your vote.
Thank you again, everyone. Thank you, Ron. Thank you, the Republican Party. Mr. Allen, thank you so much for putting on this forum. I'll leave you with one question. Where do we go from here? Do we continue down the path of lawsuits and mismanage county services? We have a chance to change our direction and give everybody, all people, all parties, a seat at the table. We need to plan for our future together. County government needs new leadership. But most of all, it needs someone who will listen, someone who can work with others. So I am asking for your vote on Tuesday, May 1st for Anderson County Mayor. Thank you. Thank you.